The Feed Bandit Podcast, Episode 11, Hunt Review, Venison Grinding and Cooking, and Animal Activity Around the Opening of Deer Season. Howdy and welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast, where we have fun talking all things hunting and in the process do our best to support small and family-owned businesses in the hunting space. Here are your hosts and resident bandits, Jimmy Byrne and Richard Kinchlow. Hey everybody, welcome back and thanks so much for joining us again on the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy and Richard here. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
Awesome. It's been some nice weather around here, so I've enjoyed that.
Yes, it has
Finally, seeing the sun, that's always good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think today we kind of wanted to have a little potpourri-ish type episode where you talk about a couple different things. Keep y'all on your toes. The first thing, we made it out to Rancho Bandido a couple weekends ago. Unfortunately, we weren't able to go this last weekend. But when we made it out there, I think it was the tale of really two kind of weather patterns: torrential downpour and then a super nice day of sun on Saturday. Right?
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was basically almost two solid weeks of just straight rain, and we talk about the different types of rain when we talk about range management and whatnot, and you really got two. You got a soaker and then you got a tank filler. And of course, again, for those of you who are new to the podcast here, and maybe to hunting in Texas, most Texans call a pond a tank or a stock tank. So when we talk about tanks, we're not talking about the Panzers. We're talking about the actual farm ponds. So. But yeah, no, it was amazing how dry Rancho Bandido really was, and actually just got a picture today. Believe it or not, I forgot to tell you this, Jimmy, from the landowner. Picture of him and his ranch hands actually pulling out one of our duck blinds out of the big tank there.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So the rain had the tank had come up probably a good 7 to 8 feet. Then after we left, as you know, it stopped raining and it has not rained since, but the runoff has just been incredible and probably came up another 5 feet. So that is super exciting. Right now, as it stands, obviously, we're getting close to the average rainfall. Actually, no, I think we're above the average rainfall for Rancho Bandido, that area, which is awesome. And also for you wildflowers lovers out there, and a Texas plant guy who we interviewed not long ago, this rainfall that we're having with a combination of a cold winter will equal a wonderful Texas wildflower season. So, as usual, I'm digressing, but anyways, the rain is just awesome for everything.
Well, what does the Farmer's Almanac say about the winter this year?
So, the Farmer's Almanac, yeah, I do, absolutely, because I was super excited. So for me, as you'll come to find out, I love it when it rains. When the sun comes out, I'm kind of like a vampire.
And I
can't stand it. Yeah, he's the exact opposite. So, yeah. But no, the Farmer's Almanac was actually, predicting a cooler and wetter than average winter for Texas. Now, I have heard from one of those other weather experts that may not necessarily be the case, and that there's actually an El Nino that's forming, and that's going to keep it a little bit warmer, something of that nature. And I've not informed my daughters of that because they are, especially the 7-year-old, she is a lover of the snow. And on her fourth Christmas, she actually complained, why is it we don't have a white Christmas this year? Whereas on her third birthday, Christmas, she had a white Christmas. And I informed her that on her third year of life, third Christmas, she had her first white Christmas, whereas my 33rd Christmas was my first white Christmas. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, hoping for a nice cold winter. Helps the wildflowers. Obviously, a little tougher on the animals, as we'll talk about, but yeah, they're tough. They can handle it.
But as long as it's not like too cold, it still makes sitting in a blind a lot better than
Oh man,
when it's 90 degrees, 80 degrees outside. So.
absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, see that last weekend we were out there was quite the different success story for me
Yeah,
compared to the one before.
right.
So the weekend before the last one we were out there, I got that spike in black buck antelope
Yep.
doe, and this last one was much more humbling for me. So Friday night, we got out there in time to sit in the blinds, and it was just a torrential downpour, until really about 6 p.m., I guess, when it finally started letting up. And
Yeah.
man, I'm just sitting there really the whole time. The whole time, there's nothing to do but really watch YouTube videos, watching a lot of these guys how they cook in their backstrap and
Right. Right.
getting really hungry.
Yep. Now I was in the same boat, quite literally. Typically the critters will move in a light rain. Of course, as Jimmy said, torrential rain. They typically will head for cover, and I've actually seen them do it. Now, after a rain, post rain, typically they kind of start to come back out, and we still had probably an hour's worth of daylight left. And boy, they did not come out. Now I was in the same boat. I was about a mile or two away from him, and I was skunked. I didn't see a thing. So
Yep, totally skunked. Well, not totally skunked here. I was contending with about 30 turkeys that kept coming in. There were those videos.
right.
So
Right.
I'd get out of the blind, as it's raining to kind of ward them off or scare them off, so that I was hoping when the rain stopped that there'd still be something on the ground to stop some of the deer that I was expecting to come out, but never did.
Yep. Yep. No, the boy, let me tell you, the wild turkeys, blessed to have them. There's no doubt about it. I mean, when I hunted in Throckmorton, Texas, seeing a turkey was a real privilege. And of course, now the place that we hunt, I mean, if you see under 20, something's wrong. And man, of course, during the spring when we're really hunting them, they're impossible they're really tough to see, tough to hunt, but man, during the fall, they just flock together. And I mean, there are some times where you'll have turkeys come in and they'll clean up 3 second spin worth of corn out of feeder. And gosh, I mean, 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, no, get these guys out of here.
Yep. We've actually equipped some of our feeders with a remote control to where we can put another spin in there. I'll be honest, I don't know how really effective that is because the deer and the other animals typically aren't used to the second spin, So, but it makes us feel good.
Yeah, and I love those turkeys. So if it had been November, I might have taken one for myself. But
absolutely. Well, if you were a Texas youth, you could have. I think you could have blasted one this past weekend. Weekend, yep, was the opening of youth season. Yeah, which of course is just a phenomenal opportunity, and I think it should be opened a lot earlier. Let the kiddos get out there and do it. I think it should be in every single state. It may be. But it's as we've always talked about, we'll continue talking about. Children are the future security for the passion, for the love that we have of this, of hunting. So we got to get them involved.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I think I mentioned this to you, but I am going to plan on walking a day between sitting in the deer stand in the morning and the evening to try to get me a turkey the old-fashioned way this fall. Haven't done that yet. Only done it, during the spring, of course.
Sure. Right.
But, I mean, why not? It'd be fun.
Absolutely.
So, when I do that, obviously recap my experience here. So we'll see.
Sure. Well, maybe we'll strap the GoPro to you.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, totally.
Let you try to do it there. You're for those of us who've been on our YouTube page, that's my fault. We're still uploading some more, but I'm getting a little bit better about the GoPro and filming kind of our hunts. And I've actually got Jimmy's antelope hunt that I need to put on there. Probably gonna be next week before I get to it, but a lot of fun. A lot of fun for sure.
Yep. Yeah, so that Friday evening, no deer came out as we said, and I got to watching a lot of videos on YouTube about how to cook venison and this, that, and the other. So this last week, I decided to make some of the black buck antelope ribs that I took from the doe that I took. I hadn't eaten those before yet, so I just wanted to try them out. And let me just say, they're very good. I just put them on a pan with olive oil and some garlic salt,
Right.
and threw them in the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. And I mean, that was the perfect timing, perfect temperature, perfect timing on how to cook those things.
Right.
And if I was going to put it on a spectrum, and on one end you have, say, whitetail venison ribs, on the other you have pork ribs.
Right.
I really consider those to be kind of in the middle. They
Right.
had some pork aspects with the fat and everything.
Okay.
Also has a little venison kind of aspect with the,
Sure.
just the way venison, at least venison ribs are.
Right.
But man, they were awesome, and I ate just the doe, black buck antelope doe, mature. What was it, about 60 pounds probably or so? How big they get. So
Right.
the ribs aren't that huge.
Right.
So really, I just ate the entire one for one meal. That was
Right.
my dinner,
That's
and man,
awesome.
it was perfect. Yeah, it was really
That-
really good.
That is awesome. Yeah, the last time I had I had mule deer ribs was 2004, and we were on a mule deer hunt near Big Bend, and we had our guide, passed along. We called them chewing sticks, and boy, we were having those around the fire with our drinks, and I started gnawing on there and just kind of looking at the curvature. I go, golly, this is a deer rib. And he said, absolutely. And they were really good. But I've not done it since. And I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think it's a lot of fun to do and a lot of fun to try. And like you said, 20 minutes or so is more than enough to make it to where they're cooked but not rock hard.
Right.
One of the things I think you and I talked about was actually making them go a little bit further, maybe getting a bone saw if you've got one whose blade doesn't go crazy on you like ours does, and maybe cutting them in half, and so they look a little bit more appetizing, and you get two for one rack per se.
Right. Yeah. Do you remember if those chewing sticks, did they cook them like over a fire or in the oven, or
I don't,
or did they dehydrate them like jerky or something? Or
I don't know. I know that they were pretty tough. I mean,
yeah.
If a boot had ribs, I kind of thought that's what we were eating. It was, the flavor was great, but boy, oh boy, it gives your teeth a workout.
Well, it's like jerky. Like every time I've made whitetail ribs,
yeah,
it's like I'm chewing, the jerky off the bone.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
I need to find a good recipe online and try that again.
Oh, no doubt.
But even so, I like making jerky too. Out of whitetail. So
yep.
It didn't go to waste. It's just not like a pork rib, of course.
Yep, of course.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing I did to kind of make up for my getting skunked is my wife and I ended up grinding some of the whitetail that I got the weekend before that. So part of what you and I like to do, of course, is to grind our own meat and sometimes experiment with different recipes when doing so, or really rather than taking our meat to the processor for their grind.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, processor venison grind is usually very good. It's just really fun to do it yourself, if you have the means and the capacity to kind of store all that meat for the grinder, prior to getting to it. But yeah, we like to, for you guys out there, we typically like to designate a night or a weekend where we all go down to the ranch and grind and have a really grand old time. while we're while we're doing it. It takes us well into the morning, of course, and
Oh yeah.
listen to good music. Having a couple drinks, just a few. And all.
Oh, yeah.
But next time we do that, though, we'll definitely document it for all you guys listening, so you can kind of see how what we do. But anyway,
might require some severe video editing because if you were to chart our usefulness and our actual productivity, that's where I'm looking for.
Yes,
it definitely slants down as the night goes on.
Yes, it's like an exponential downward curve, basically.
Oh yeah. Well,
but I decided to go ahead and grind up my first deer this year at home because basically, my family, we've been out of grind for quite a few months now, and we wanted to get kind of a jump start on eating our venison, and my family likes that a lot because we use it in a lot of different things. So this time, what I did is I bought a large tube of 73/27 hamburger meat and a pork loin to mix into the venison grind. And I didn't really spice it with anything. We like to have a good neutral kind of meat base so that you can use it really in any kind of dish that requires kind of ground meat, spaghetti, chili, hamburgers, or whatever. But that allows you to kind of spice it at the time of your cooking. It ends up being good that way. But we also ended up doing, and I did about 3/4 of it that way. But I decided this time to try and find a good Italian sausage recipe online, and I ended up doing the remaining about 1/4 of it spiced as Italian sausage.
Yeah.
We cooked some the other day as meatballs, and
yeah,
man, oh man, it was really good. I'm serious. Oh yeah. And one thing I learned about spicing over my years of grinding is that I will darn near double the recommended spices from a recipe, especially if you're using whitetail venison. For whatever reason, I think for me to really get the taste that, I need to do that, to double that recipe.
Right.
And it's always come out perfectly. Now, as well as I, that everyone thinks I don't have taste buds because I put a lot of salt on everything, this, that, and the other.
Oh yeah, yeah. Jimmy is Morton's best friend. Golly, or garlic salt really is your thing.
Oh yeah, cool. Geez, you put on anything and it tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
But it ended up coming out awesome. I mean, and it smelled really good, and it worked great as the meatballs. So I remember what it is. So we'll have to make that again whenever we do our master grind a little later on.
Absolutely, love to.
Yeah. Okay, so that was kind of, I guess, a wrap up. You cooked a pork last night, but that was just probably from the store, right?
Yeah. We, I've got a boy. Now this is kind of a shame to admit this. So again, for those of you who are not from Texas, we traditionally, and most people do, I should say, typically when you smoke food, you always use the wood fire, off center in the firebox and cook the meat that way. For those of us who live in Dallas and can't park a gigantic smoker in the alley or, in the backyard or something, sometimes we go with the electric ones. So I've got my father bought me an electric one a couple of years ago, and I scoffed at it and kind of made fun of it and talked smack to it in the corner. And then I fired it up and I was like, this really isn't that terrible. It is definitely more like an oven than it is a smoker, but you still definitely get that flavor, but it's not overpowering. So I went to the store and bought a $11, actually it's $11.87, pork shoulder, about 7 pounds, and let it come up to room temperature. Then I stuffed it with regular garlic, not elephant ear, so the regular garlic. And then I actually scored, which scoring, for those of you who don't know, is you take a knife or a box cutter, believe it or not, and just you slice, or at least you attempt to slice the skin on top of the pork shoulder. And then what you do is you get a good salt. I prefer sea salt, and you really lay it on there and rub it in real good. And then I put it on the smoker for about 9 hours. But the reason why I was doing that prep on the skin is because I was trying to make pork crackling. So basically fried skin, which you just can't get any worse than that. I guess you could do, if you could fry butter, it would probably be up there. But
Still very good for you.
absolutely, animal fat. Yes. We can do a whole show on that.
Yeah. The best pork skin ever I had was in Puerto Rico. They have what's called a pork highway, and you go off as we're driving around the island, and it's just there's like a main highway that goes around the island, and then you go off this one exit, and there's a lineup of about, I don't know, 10, probably 10 restaurants there that all they are, have whole porks on spits, and you go up there and they'll just go and they'll cut the skin off for you, and my God, it was the richest fried thing I've ever eaten in my life.
Well, I need you to try some. See what you think about it. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I had my my shoulder on for about 7 hours, and then I actually went and I wrapped it. When you're smoking meat, it happens a lot with brisket. You reach a point where you plateau, and you can keep it on there for X amount of times, but the internal temperature just will not go up. And so that's typically when you go and you wrap it. So I went and wrapped it in foil and put it back on for about another hour or so. Then I brought it into the house and I fired up my oven to about 450, and then unread and then put with the skin facing the top, basically broiler, and within 30 minutes that heat on that skin had it puffed up, and it was really good and crispy. And of course I didn't eat it all, but it was something fun to do. And the skin kind of peels off. It was great. I have a family of 4 and a Labrador. So that fed us, and we have leftovers. So I've kind of eaten it all week. It was a lot of fun.
Oh man, that sounds awesome. Hopefully I get a pig next time we're down at the Rancho.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got plenty of them.
Yeah. Well, I'll just a little segue there, just to finish off our last weekend hunting on Saturday. The sun came out. It was a beautiful day. I was skunked again that night. Didn't see one thing, just a couple birds, which is just amazing for me. Like that's never happened to me before in one weekend.
Well, and especially on a night like that, I mean, there's just no rhyme or reason.
High hopes, but they come crashing down.
No, of course.
As the sun sets,
Yeah. And I, of course, as if y'all have listened to us, you'll know that I am just a dove hunting fanatic, and I can't even talk about the season because it's just been the worst one on record for me. But I did go dove hunting, me and my dog, and it was wet. I listened to the Texas Tech, and I did end up shooting one dove. And so funny is, I killed literally thousands of dove over the years. But I have never done what I did on this one lone bird that flew by me. I actually blew its head off. and it was the damnedest thing. My dog brought me back the bird, and she was a little mouthy with it because she's a little green because we hadn't had a lot of action this year. And she dropped it and whatever, and I grabbed the bird. I'm like, man, what is going on? And so she didn't have it in her mouth because she did, she'd eat it. But I kind of redid my steps, and I it's unbelievable. It's a great shot. So
clean sever of the head there.
Yeah, it was like a 20 gauge guillotine in midair. And of course, like a dunderhead, I have my GoPro on my head, but I'm still getting used to the turn GoPro on and then shoot type thing. So I missed the action, but yeah.
So we'll just have to believe you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I killed one dove all last weekend. So dove season is coming to an end here shortly, and I could literally just cry. So, but as I always say, the anticipation of hunting for me sometimes is actually more fun than hunting. The planning, the prep work, watching the seasons turn. Of course, by the time we get to the summer, I'm fit to be tied, ready for it to happen. So
right. Well, what do they say? It's not so much the destination, but it's the journey. Sometimes.
Right.
You got to look at the positive and everything.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah. So both of us, we were kind of unsuccessful, amazingly enough, and but some of the other guys took some doe, right, and
Yeah,
a
they
couple
did.
pig or two, I think, if I remember
Yep.
correctly. So it wasn't a complete washout, if you will, to use a
Yeah.
pun.
Yeah.
But
No, absolutely not.
but
Yeah.
so it was still fun. But we'll get
Agreed.
them next time.
Yep. Yep. Well, they were. I think it kind of segues into what we were kind of talking about. What are the critters doing?
Yep. Yep.
And we did a pretty good show on September, but October going into November, obviously, at least the area that we hunt, kind of central Texas area, top of the hill country, things it really start changing. The obviously the trees are turning color, starting to lose leaves. We're getting definitely some cool spells now, which is really nice. And the acorns are really going solid now. The live oaks typically go first, and the red oaks and the white oaks will go after that, and the pecans too. So the acorn crop for all species of trees is pretty darn good this year. So I contribute a lot of our lack of action at the feeders to that acorn drop. I also contribute a lot of it to the forb growth. I mean, we have just had an exponential amount of rain, and so those fall forbs for the whitetail, and grass for the axis and the black bug is just. I mean, it's literally a second green up, and it's actually never happened before. In fact, I was talking to the owner, and we actually lost a cow who got some sort of bloat from eating too much greenery and not having enough salt.
Wow.
Yeah. We talked about how important it is to have salt available for your hooved animals when you've got these green periods, because they something to the effect of they can't digest everything. I'm not a biologist, but so it's really important to have the salt. Well, here it is, middle October, we don't have any salt out there, so this cow just pretty much ate herself to death on the greenery. So it just proves that salad can definitely kill you.
That's right.
So what I would have really encouraged all our fellow hunters to do is, again, going back to the issue with the acorns and the fall growth, is get out of those blinds, or hunting blinds to where you've got more area to look at than just at a deer feeder. Hunt these, as we call them, senderos, these open areas that stretch for a while. Hunt along telephone right away, where you can see, you can see for quite a bit, and hopefully you'll see those deer moving from the cover, maybe out to grab a bite to eat on some forbs that are catching some sunlight.
Yep.
So we should be having a first freeze here probably in the next couple of weeks, and obviously that'll knock some of that back. They've been pounding the acorns, turkeys too, and the hogs and whatnot. So I expect feeder activity to probably go up, pretty decently here in the middle of November. And then, of course, as food stores really start to kind of dry up, December and January, it normally gets pretty good. We move on to another cycle.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the weather, if it actually ends up being cold, or if it just stays warm, and if we continue to have rain. I mean, who knows?
That's true. That's very true. I know that in mid-September we were sitting at 24 inches for Rancho Bandido, and gosh, well, I'll tell you right now. Right now, I will check, and we are up. Bear with me, loading. Still loading. This was a bad idea. I should have done this earlier. I got to hit the button first. Fields.
That's okay.
Yeah, this is actually something we'll talk about. We are up to 39. Yeah, 39 inches. That's incredible. We averaged 35. So we went from 24 in early September. Now we're at 39. So an extra 72 inches of rain, if I'm doing my math there right. So that's that's really, really, really impressive. Of course, again, it absolutely walloped our dove hunting, but I can't complain. Always need the rain. Always need the rain.
Well, what do you think this will do to duck hunting?
Yeah, I tell you, it's going to be a sight for sore eyes. Last year, as I recall, was not incredibly wet. Certainly not like the 52-inch we had a couple of years ago, but this was this year. God, I was expecting it just to be pretty bad with just not having enough areas for us to hunt. Now we do have some tanks that will hold some water, so if there are birds, we should be in pretty good shape. But where we could hunt was a real problem. But now that we've got all this water, definitely going to increase the areas that we can hunt, but it's going to spread out those birds. Right. So we should start seeing them, probably now, to be honest with you. There's probably a bunch of typically the puddle ducks come down first, or the gadwalls, mallards, widgeons, teal, reluctantly make their way down here. So we'll see a lot of scalp and maybe some redheads and canvasbacks come in. But yeah, opening day of duck season for the North Zone, I believe, is the first weekend in November. So that's looking for
big day.
Yep. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Indeed. What else? What else do you want to talk about?
Gosh. Well, it's opening week of Texas rifle season this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. We could just glaze over that as if it's not important.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, for the Texas, this is an absolutely huge weekend coming up. It's exodus, if you will, from all the from Dallas and Houston and Austin and all the major cities to the country, and it's kind of funny because this is and that really pumps a lot of fuel, a lot of money into those local economies there. So this is just a huge a lot of venison hit the ground. I recall talking to a meat processor down in Bernie, and I had asked this a couple years ago. I actually asked him how many deer he typically receives opening weekend. He told me he typically averages between 3,000 to 3,500 deer, something of that nature.
Oh wow!
That is just an astronomical amount of animals. But it's Klein Smokehouse, which of course, as we all know, they're just phenomenal.
That's we should talk about what we get from processors and various ones. Maybe we'll try to interview a couple of them on the show. And
great idea.
I'd love to learn about kind of the business and what they how they do it. Just kind of how it runs, and get some pointers here and there. I mean, we'll have to make note of that. Get some of these people on.
I agree.
All right. You got anything else?
That's about it. Good luck to everybody, especially, those who are, our fellow Texans who are heading out to the field. Be safe, be smart. Good luck. Obviously we'd like to continue to hear from everybody. Our inbox has been blowing up from folks emailing us with, where they hunt. We want to hear your stories. We want to see your pictures. So we're very thankful for that, and then keep it coming.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you guys for listening, as always, and just stay in touch with us. And just wanted to say, if there's some bad connection on this call, I apologize for it. Try to edit that as much as possible, but I think y'all still got the gist of what we're wanting to talk about. So thanks for hanging in there. The technology sometimes doesn't cooperate 100%. But
there is no thunderstorm tonight. That's what's crazy. I don't get it.
Yeah, who knows? But all right, thanks everybody, and have a good one.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit podcast. If you want to find new and innovative hunting gear and service providers not typically offered through the traditional big box hunting stores, come on over and join the hunt at feedbandit.com/join. When you join, as a bonus, you'll get our entertaining free e-guide of unique hunting tips and tricks. And a reminder to all you small businesses, feed stores, gear inventors, or entrepreneurs in the hunting space, if you'd like to get more exposure to potential customers by being featured on the Feed Bandit podcast, please let us know. We'd love to discuss what we can do for you and your business. Go to feedbandit.com/promote. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give us a rating and review on iTunes, as it would really help us out. Go to feedbandit.com/iTunes. Thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, please remember to support your local feed store.